I want you to go ahead and think about 5 years from now, where will you be? Because that will make a life a lot easier knowing where you are headed to on a one-track mind. You know what they say, one-track mind? You're not flipping, you're not going all over the place. You have absolute clarity that this is where you want to be 5 years in the future. Imagine two different outcomes, two different scenarios, at least two, maximum three. I want you to take notes. Just take notes. You don't have to write a whole treatise. A few notes of scenario one and give it a title. If it was a movie, what would scenario one, what would the title be? Okay, and you may have to pause. This needs some thought. Scenario one, what would the title be? Just give it a working title. For example, it might be, living in New York, or moved to the country. Now, scenario two, give that a working title. If you have a scenario three, go ahead and give that a working title. Now that you have the three working titles, I'm going to give you some time to take down notes. Okay, just jot down a few notes about what is that scenario. In a few moments, we're going to do a visualization. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and visualize your future. So this is just for clarity's sake, to understand what your three scenarios are. So you don't need to go into too much detail, because we're just going to do a short meditation right now, where we're gonna travel and visualize these scenarios. Okay? So I want you to just close your eyes again. And we're visualizing 5 years into the future, scenario number one. Just take a walk. Where will you be living? Just imagine your living quarters. Is it in the city? Is it in the country? Is it in a small town? Is it in, what country are you in? Are you in a house, a simple house, a Zen type house? Or is it all country style and flowery? What is the style of your place? This is just to get you comfortable into that. Now I want you to look at, who are you living with? Who are you? I mean, if you don't know who it is, just say, I'm living with a very wonderful soulmate. I'm having a great relationship, or I'm living alone and loving it. Okay, what is your relationship status? Is it with a family, your community? Okay, think about it, where you would be in this scenario. And go further now. What are you doing? What is your occupation? Okay, what is the type of thing you're occupied with? What is the object of your interest and your passion? Where do you go every day? What do your working quarters look like? Okay. So just feel a little into that scenario. Okay? Now, I want you to just open your eyes for a moment. Open your eyes. Okay, come back to the present moment. Come back to the present. And now allow yourself, just clear the air, clap our hands a little, change the energy, change the vibe. And now we're going into scenario number 2. What does scenario number 2 look like for you? Okay, let's go back. I will guide you. Close your eyes. I want you to travel to 5 years into the future under this alternative scenario. Where are you living? What country are you in, first of all? Where are you in that country? Are you in the city or by the countryside? Okay. What do your living quarters, your main living quarters look like? The place you spend most of the year. I'm not saying you don't travel, but where do you live? Where are your things? Okay? Your bed. Okay. Now I want you to just imagine in this scenario, are you married? Are you divorced? Do you have kids? Are you in love? What is going on in your relationship status? Okay? Remember, this is scenario number 2. And now let's go to the occupation bit. What are you being occupied with? What is the occupation? Where do you put your mental, emotional, spiritual energy? How are you making a difference? Whose lives are being affected by your occupation? Okay, what is your business, basically? What is the service you're offering? What are you creating? Okay, wonderful. So now that scenario should be clear. And if it's not clear, go ahead and pause this video when you're watching it. Just pause it and work it further, go into it further. Okay, but for now I want you to open your eyes if you haven't already. Let's just clap our hands a moment, clear the air, and we are going to, for those of you who have a third scenario, there's a possibility, you're not sure, you can have one more scenario. For those of you who only have 2 scenarios and you don't know which one to choose, don't do this bit. Just leave it open, okay? Or you can create a third scenario as an integration. Perhaps it's an opportunity to integrate some scenarios. But you shouldn't have more than 3 scenarios maximum. Okay? Let's do it again. Close our eyes. We're traveling 5 years into the future. 5 beautiful years into the future. Excellent. You've traveled 5 years into the future. Which country are you living in? Which country are you living in? Now, which part of the country are you living in? Which specific city or town, resort, wherever are you living in? Now let's hone in further. It's like go deeper and say, where are you living? What's your house look like? What does your living quarters look like? Is it an apartment? Is it a single home with a garden? What are your living quarters looking like in this scenario? Okay. Now let's go more specific. Who are you living with? Who are you living with? Are you alone? Are you married? Do you have a companion? Are you living with more people? A couple of people? Are you sharing a living space? Co-lab, co-work space? Anything's possible. You have so many alternatives. What do you choose? What is in this scenario? Who are you actually living with? Or are you living alone? Okay, wonderful. So go into it further and look, what is your occupation in this third scenario? What is your business? What is the service that you are offering others to improve or to inspire them in some way, or just to help them pay their bills? Are you an employer or are you an employee? Are you the CEO of your company? What's the deal? Are you Are you working for a volunteer organization? What does your occupation, professional dimension look like? Wonderful. Go into it a bit. Okay, so again, let's open our eyes. Open your eyes if you haven't already. And as you can see, we have our 3 scenarios. We just went a little deeper into those scenarios, the 3 outcome possibilities. And now in the second half of this exercise, you are going to choose one, okay? But how are you supposed to choose from these 3 scenarios? Very simple. You're going to pass them through the filter of ethos, pathos, and logos. Okay, and I'm going to walk you through that. But for a moment just before, you may want to add some notes to each of the scenarios. After we visualized it, we went into it a little deeper. I want you to add some notes. What more did you see when we went and we did the visualization? Perhaps you want to change the title of that scenario. Remember, we have 3 scenarios, like a mind movie. What is the title to your movie? What's the title to your life movie? So now we take those 3 scenarios and we pass it through the first filter. Scenario number 1. Is it aligned with your ethos? In other words, your truth, your highest values. Remember, we've done the exercise about what are my values. That was the previous exercise. What are your values? Is scenario number 1 aligned with your values? Okay. What do you value most at this stage in your life? Is it aligned with scenario number 1? Is it aligned with your truth, your highest truth? Okay, this is what makes you unique. It makes you different because you have your values. Let's pass it through filter number 2, which is pathos. Are you passionate about this scenario? Does your heart expand? And you're like, yes, I really, really want to do this. It expresses my passion, my feelings, my emotions, my whole vibe, you know. I have a deep why. Can you say that about scenario number 2? In other words, if someone were to hand it to you, would you say, hell yes, I want this one with all my heart? Okay, could you say that about scenario number 1? Now go to the third filter. Logic and reason, logos. What do the numbers say? Can you make it happen financially? Do you have enough put aside? Do you have investors? Do you have a financial plan? Okay, if you don't have it, that's okay. You have to work on that. Find the details of a financial plan. Get some help. And then you'll know whether it makes sense financially. Okay? Those are the 3 filters for scenario number 1. Now let's go to scenario number 2. Remember, think you're 5 years into the future. What's scenario number 2? Keep it in your mind. And now let's pass it through the 3 filters to see if it stands up to the light. Ethos. Is it aligned with your ethos? Is it aligned with who you are? Your highest purpose, your highest values. What defines you, what you find most, your true values, your truth. Do you embody this scenario? Can you walk this talk? That's your ethos filter. The second filter, pathos. Are you passionate about scenario number 2? Can you really say that you have your why in there? What is your why? Write it down. Know what your why is. Why does it have to be definitely happening? It's your emotions. Okay? And the third filter is your truth. Your logos. Does it make sense? Okay? Put the numbers to the test. The numbers, the case studies, science, reason, logos. Does it pass that filter? What's the strategy? Do you have a strategy? Do you have a roadmap? And if you have a third scenario, just go ahead and replay these 3 filters in your mind before you make your choice. Do the work. Once you really do the homework and do this inner work and write things down, the truth just is self-apparent. So I give you a few moments now to reflect on those 3 scenarios, to look at the results after having passed them through the 3 filters. Okay, and write it down. Which of the 3 scenarios do you choose? Okay, write it down. There's your answer. Now, don't panic yet for those of you who haven't decided. Don't panic yet, because I have something for you. If you're still a little confused and insecure about it, we're going to do a deeply relaxing exercise. We're going to use the visualization to help you choose through a deeper and subconscious level. Okay, so I hope this exercise has been useful to you. You can replay the videos anytime you want to do it again and do it on a deeper level. And if you still have difficulty choosing your life scenario, go ahead and book coaching session with me.